My name is Adrian. I'm 34 years old and I never thought I'd be telling this story. But after what happened at my brother's wedding, I can't keep it inside anymore. Tyler, my younger brother, is 31. The golden child. The one with the charm, the career, the spotlight. And me? I've always been the quiet one. The planner. The fixer. The guy who paid bills when our parents couldn't. The one who patched holes so everyone else could keep smiling. For years, that was my role. Invisible scaffolding holding up a house no one noticed was cracking. But the wedding, it was different. It wasn't just another moment of me standing in the shadows. It was a slap in the face dressed up in white lace and champagne. The venue looked like something out of a fairy tale. String lights over oak beams, a lake shimmering behind rows of perfect chairs. Guests laughing, glasses clinking. And me? I showed up with a wrapped gift in my hands. An engraved decanter set. Classy. Understated. Something they could keep forever. When I checked in, the planner smiled thinly, then frowned. You're listed as a +1. A+1. For my own brother's wedding. And that was just the start. Because what came next made me realize I wasn't just left out. I was erased. Being labeled a +1 wasn't an accident. It was a pattern. A lifetime of being the older brother who carried the blame so Tyler could stay shiny. I still remember being 10 when he smashed Dad's watch showing off. Before the pieces stopped bouncing, he pointed at me. Mom sighed. Dad shook his head. Adrian, be the example. He's younger, he's still learning. That line became the anthem of my childhood. At 17, Tyler stole my car and dented it against a truck. I paid the insurance, stayed silent. At 21, he got caught shoplifting. My phone rang at midnight. I bailed him out, called it a misunderstanding. Because keeping the peace always mattered more than telling the truth. And Marissa, his fiancée, only sharpened the edges. The first time we met, she smirked. Logistics, huh? Cute. Like my career, years of sweat and precision, was nothing more than a hobby she'd outgrow. I laughed it off, the way I always did. But inside, it landed exactly the way she wanted. Small, belittled, dismissed. So when I walked into that wedding hall and saw my seat shoved near the swinging kitchen doors, it wasn't just about bad planning. It was confirmation. Confirmation that to them, I was background noise. Disposable. Even my ex-girlfriend Tessa, the one Tyler introduced me to years ago, sat comfortably near the sweetheart table. And when I asked why, Marissa smiled like she was doing me a favor. We just had to make some tough calls space-wise. No hard feelings, right? It was always the same script. Tyler messed up, I fixed it. Marissa mocked me, I stayed polite. My family let it slide, and I stayed silent. But silence has an expiration date. And that night, with champagne glasses clinking behind me, mine finally ran out. I didn't storm out right away. I sat there at that folding chair by the kitchen doors, watching as servers brushed past me with trays of salmon and burnt rosemary. I heard laughter from the main tables, saw champagne glasses raised in toast, saw Tyler lean down to whisper something to Tessa, and the way she smiled back, a little too warmly. My gift, the decanter, was shoved to the side, piled up with boxes no one looked at twice. And in that moment, something in me shifted. I stood, walked slow, deliberate across the room, picked up the gift box and headed for the exit. Marissa's voice rang out over the music. Wait, where are you going? I turned just enough for her to hear me. +1 this. Somebody gasped. Somebody laughed. I didn't care. I walked out into the night air, calm and steady. Tyler followed me into the parking lot, jacket flapping, voice shaky. Adrian, wait. Dude, what was that? Why are you leaving? Come on, it's my wedding. I looked him dead in the eye. You let her sit me by the kitchen. He hesitated, scratched the back of his neck. It wasn't, I didn't realize. She did the chart. Look, it's not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. That was the moment something inside me broke, or maybe snapped back together. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the gift. I just unlocked my car, got in, and drove. But I didn't go home. I drove aimlessly until I found myself at the overlook outside town. The city lights spread out like fireflies across the dark. And in that silence, years of swallowing disrespect finally boiled up. The favoritism, the jokes at my expense, the endless role of fixer, invisible, disposable. That's when the decision came. Quiet, steady, final. I wasn't going to be their safety net anymore. Not for Tyler. Not for Marissa. Not for anyone who treated me like a placeholder. I let his texts sit unread. Ignored Marissa's casual, hope you're not upset, let's move on. Because I wasn't moving on. I was moving differently. And when I opened my laptop that night, I realized I had more leverage than they could ever imagine. They thought I walked away empty-handed. But I walked away holding every card. Back at that overlook, the decision felt clean. I wasn't going to be quiet anymore. But revenge? It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it waits. See, I don't just work in logistics. I handle crisis management, vendors, contracts. I know where the weak spots live, and Tyler had just handed me all of them. The caterer? They were my client first. I was the one who got them that job. So I made a call. Polite. Professional. Nancy, the catering manager, lowered her voice. They underpaid the deposit. Changed half the guest list 3 days before. If you hadn't helped, we wouldn't have pulled it off. That was all I needed. Receipts, contracts, leverage. I didn't go nuclear right away. That's not my style. I'm a slow burn kind of guy. First, I canceled the crystal glassware set I'd ordered as a follow-up gift. Redirected it to myself. Figured I deserved decent Scotch glasses more than they did. Then I called the photographer. Told her, no more discounts for Tyler and Marissa. She didn't hesitate. I was snipping threads quietly, one by one. And then came the real opening. A week later, an email from Tyler. Subject line, need help? Classic. Their honeymoon extension was falling apart. Passports, flights, villa transfers. All jammed up. And his words? You're the only one I trust to fix this stuff. You're good at it. Please, man. No apology. No accountability. Just a demand wrapped in fake flattery. I drafted a reply. Unfortunately, this +1 doesn't take bookings anymore. Good luck. I hovered. Then stopped. Because a better idea hit me. I forwarded the email to Angela, an old colleague in travel logistics. Not to ask for help. To blacklist them. Petty? Maybe. But it felt right. For once, I wasn't the fixer. I was the fuse. And when the fallout hit, it wasn't just a ruined honeymoon. It was thousands in late fees, blacklisted vendors, a financial avalanche triggered by their own arrogance. They thought I was gone, invisible, A+1 fading into the background. But the truth? I had just stepped into the spotlight, and they hadn't even realized the show had started. The first cracks showed up in my inbox. Tyler again, this time frantic. Did you tell Angela not to help us? We're stranded. Marissa's flipping out. What's your problem? I didn't answer. Because by then, the dominoes were already falling. Remember Nancy, the caterer? She filed a breach of contract claim. Late payments, wrong guest counts, last-minute changes. Penalty triggered. 25% of the bill. The bartender followed. The venue backed them. Suddenly, Tyler and Marissa weren't just nursing a ruined honeymoon. They were staring at thousands in fees and withheld deposits. And I hadn't even played my last card. 2 weeks later, a cousin posted wedding photos online. 83 pictures. I appeared in one. Blurry, near the kitchen door. No portraits. No toast videos. No mention in the captions. But Tessa? Tagged. Smiling. Front and center. This wasn't oversight. It was erasure. So I made a post of my own. A simple slideshow. Behind-the-scenes shots on my phone. Me adjusting table numbers. Helping the florist. And a screenshot of the seating chart. My name labeled, +1 Tyler's brother. Then I wrote, helped plan the wedding, found the venue, got the caterer a discount, showed up early to set up, was seated near the kitchen as a +1. Bride said I should understand, so I left quietly. 2 weeks later, they asked for help again. This time I declined. Apparently that makes me petty. No names, no tags, just facts. The post spread. Old friends reached out. Cousins commented, I always wondered why you weren't at our table. Sympathy poured in, but more importantly, people finally saw the truth. And Marissa? Her boss followed me. Her polished image cracked. That's when Tyler called again. Nervous, pleading. She's freaking out. Says you're ruining her reputation. Can you please take it down? I listened, then made a second post. Been asked to delete my last post. Apparently, the truth is damaging. But I don't delete what's true. I spent too many years making myself small for other people's comfort. Never again. No anger. Just honesty. That silence afterward? It was louder than any fight we'd ever had. But the loudest sound was still coming. A letter that would change everything. The letter came 3 weeks later. A thick envelope. Tyler's handwriting. Adrian, I let Marissa call the shots because I thought keeping the peace mattered more than standing up for my brother. I was wrong. You always had my back, and I made you feel invisible. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'm sorry. No excuses, just that. I left the letter on my desk for days. Because this wasn't about one wedding. It was about years of being the backup plan, the fixer, the invisible one. For once, I had the power to decide what came next. Thanksgiving came. Tyler was there. Marissa wasn't. After dessert, he found me in the kitchen. Thanks for coming, he said. Thanks for the letter, I answered. He shifted. I meant it. I was a fool. I don't want things to be like that anymore. You can want that, I told him. But you have to earn it. One apology doesn't erase years. He didn't argue. And over the next months, he actually tried. Texts without favors. Coffee runs. Just showing up. Marissa never reached out. Her circle shrank, her image cracked. Eventually, they took space. By spring, Tyler hosted a backyard cookout. No tuxedos, no seating charts. Just burgers and cheap beer. He handed me the tongs. You're on grill duty, tradition, right? Not grand, but real. When the night wound down, he raised his bottle. To Adrian, for showing me what a brother should be. Even when I didn't deserve it. I clinked bottles. Took you long enough. Everyone laughed. And in that laughter, I realized forgiveness isn't pretending the past didn't happen. It's choosing who's worth giving a future to. I still keep the wedding decanter in my cabinet. Not as a wound. Not as revenge. Just glass. Finally being used the way it was meant to be. Have you ever been treated like the +1 in your own family? Share your story below, because no one deserves to be erased from their own life.